Did they get you? Did the
No.
LinkedIn dopamine
Oh,
hit, like, get you wanting to post more? Did you,
that's interesting.
yeah, how are you
Um,
feeling about it?
well, the dopamine, I feel like there was mainly, it wasn't positive experience for me. It was not, I'm saying.
Mm.
So, and the dopamine really felt more like adrenaline in a sense, but it did give me that glimmer of hope, which was interesting.
What's the hope?
So the idea that I could actually do that, like this could, like the idea of
Hmm.
what I stand for. That's why I immediately wrote down that manifesto. I was actually on Friday, I was pretty wired on like, okay, wow, this, I could do this, especially when I was going in the comments, people were being mean. And I was like, how can I, what is the kindest interpretation of what they're saying? And how can we try and not devolve down, and with a little bit of tongue in cheek, of course, right? Welcome to Citizen Rebel, the podcast for founders, small business owners, and bold influencers who refuse to stay silent.
These are the stories of entrepreneurs and creators risking everything to speak up, to stand out, and to stand for something.
And for those of us feeling unsure of how to react or what to say and do, this is a place where we can figure it out together.
This is Citizen Rebel, stories of brands taking a stand. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts. Hi, everyone. I'm Alaina Shear.
I'm Chris Vogel.
And welcome to another episode of Citizen Rebel. Today, we are really excited to let you know that Chris published content. He published a post, a very courageous post on LinkedIn, and it went a little viral. So, Chris, let's start with, this is big breaking news for anyone who's been listening to the podcast, because you know that Chris has been very hesitant about posting. And
Yes.
yeah, so let's start with unpacking. What did you post? And tell us about your journey to hitting publish there.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering how we would approach it. So basically what happened was I told myself on a Monday morning, I am now I hear this Cracker Barrel thing is going on, right? With the logo. I don't know if everybody is aware, but Cracker Barrel did a rebrand, and there was huge backlash that went all the way up to Trump, and then they changed it back.
And tell us, for anyone who's didn't see this, what the difference was in the logo.
Okay, so the way they changed it was, currently the Cracker Barrel logo has a lot of stuff going on. It has a cracker and a barrel, right? The old
Is the
white guy.
cracker the old white man?
Yeah. Uncle Herschel is his name. And then we have the barrel, and then you have the logo type, which is encased in a container, but then there's also a tagline associated with it, incredibly detailed. And then they upgraded it or rebranded it to a very clean type treatment within a container, carrying over minimal elements, so it felt very different. So that's, I assume it was too much of a leap.
And there was backlash, but why? Why was there so much backlash?
Because people have a relationship with the logo and the company and are feeling that things are changing. I mean, my comments really said a lot of it. It's very interesting, but it seems like, it's just a fear of change, not understanding why, and it goes pretty deep.
Okay, so you decided to post. Tell us about the post.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to take a practical take, right? Because I figured I'm a brand strategist and the designer. I've been doing it for a while, and I can take a look at this, and from that perspective, just say, look, what is my take? So that's what I did. I kind of sat down, I looked at the old logo, I looked at the new one, I kind of did a little bit of coverage, but I didn't want to be too influenced. So I was just kind of like, okay, what do I think? And my take was basically, well, they moved too quickly, and they modernized it too much, and as a result, weren't able to leverage their past equity. And that's one of the reasons it fell flat. I mean, it's probably not the end all be all reason, but from a technical standpoint, that's what it is.
And so you hit publish, and in your frame of mind at the time, you've said hitting publish on content makes you feel icky, and there's imposter syndrome and all that stuff we unpacked a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
And so, prior to this, everyone, you should know Chris's posts have not been that popular because or popular. They haven't had as many impressions. And how many did this one get up to?
133,000.
That's a lot. It's a
Yeah, it's a
lot of
lot of people.
eyeballs. It's a lot of people. So to put it in perspective, though, your posts prior to this have, on average,
Oh, negligible, maybe a couple hundred.
negligible amount of impressions,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So what I always preach to people, and what Chris has heard over and over again is you really have to take a stand. You have to put a bold idea out there. You have to kind of put out your unique thoughts and how you may or may not disagree or agree with others, and you strike a chord. And that's what you did. So your post was very explicit in saying, hey, here's how they messed up. They should have
Hmm.
rolled this out over a
Hmm.
period of time in a phased approach, which was a really smart perspective that I hadn't seen before in an overwhelming amount of Cracker Barrel posts, which now we're still talking about. But you guys, this podcast right now is not about Cracker Barrel. This is about giving you all the courage to post your beliefs and what you think about stuff. So, Chris, after this starts taking off, how did you feel?
After it started taking off,
Yeah,
or
as
after
this
I
was.
posted, because first I posted and I was just kind of like, okay, done. And then you texted me, I think in the morning, and you were like, hey, there's something happening there. So I opened it up and went in there, and then I noticed that, the amount of impressions, and it was just kind of going up. I think I went into like 40,000.
Oh,
And
because I texted you because you had a troll. I was like, congratulations, you have a troll. This
yeah,
is great. Because trolls are
yeah,
great. It shows dissent. You've struck a chord again. Like, now, okay, keep going. So you see the troll, you see my text.
yeah. So I go on, and then I realize, whoa, there's comments coming in, and it's immediate adrenaline. I think the adrenaline is, I think, the first thing that came in. If I remember correctly, the adrenaline kept going for a while, and then it was kind of like didn't really know what to do. But then I remembered one of the things that you always said is you need to comment. The magic in the post is in the comments. It's not the
Hmm.
post itself. It's just really where it starts. So I was like, okay, all right. I kind of went back to my archetype, right? Back to my like, all right, we're going to comment on this. Let's keep the tone the same, kind of the same way we're talking right now. I don't want to, like, with trolls, I want to make sure I'm not, you know, I don't want to descend down to the troll level, right? I want to keep things kind of measured, and really kind of give people the benefit of the doubt where I can, while not being a doormat. That was kind of my approach.
Mm-hmm. And
So then I
so
kind of went to work, and then I spent 2 days just in the comments.
2 days.
Yeah. So I think there's
And
like 100 comments. Half of those are mine.
amazing. And in this case, you were reaching your audience, most likely, like corporate marketers or people, founders, people interested in marketing and branding who might want to hire you.
I guess, yeah. I looked a little bit around and see who was commenting. There was some interesting conversations that actually gave me some really interesting insights.
Hmm.
It's interesting if you look at the different strings, the different types of conversations that are happening. It's the first time I've ever dealt with any of it, and really, I just never really interacted with any complex comment strings. I've only been a passive observer, right? And the fact that I'm thrust into the driver's seat here, with it being my post and also me feeling kind of some ownership over it. So I didn't, like, if you have trolls on it, there was a fair amount of trolls, but I made a point to respond to all of the trolls every time. So I have the last word.
Oh, and they were being mean. They were
Oh yeah.
cutting down your design expertise or something.
Yep. Oh,
It
I
was
had to,
about
I had a, did I tell you this? I got a threat of harm.
what?
Yeah, I had a guy that posted a picture that, Pulp Fiction, where Samuel L. Jackson is holding the pew pew
You're kidding
against
me.
the person's head. No, and I reported it to LinkedIn.
Are you serious though? Why would somebody put that on a
They were
post?
really upset because I was so late on Cracker Barrel. Apparently, he really was hoping that it would be over, and then I came and posted again, and that really upset him. And you know how it is when you just kind of like really hope something's over, and then it's not. And then so I was trying to be empathetic with that and understood his point of view, but it didn't seem like he was really looking to explore further.
We're all on edge right now. You
Yeah.
guys, if people are posting memes about violence to a Cracker Barrel post, what have we become? And I was one of the people, so you were late. So it was really funny because I had also thought the Cracker Barrel stuff was over.
Yeah.
And then your post pops up, and I had posted on mine, I do not want to talk about Cracker Barrel anymore. Can we please stop? Here are three other post ideas you could all write about. And that one actually did pretty well
That's
for
so
me.
funny. It's
It
so
is really
funny.
funny. It's funny. So
So
let's
it's
talk.
interesting to me
Yeah.
because like that's one of the things I found revealing. And it's
Mm,
it's it's the shame component of all of this social media that was really on the forefront because I can hear it where people are saying, "Oh, you're so late. Oh my god." And then at one point I was early on and I was like, "Hang on. I go onto your profile and see something that you posted about Cracker Barrel 4 days ago and now you're here telling me it's too late?" I mean,
hmm.
like, I'm wondering what is behind that. Is that happened to you before? Have you been shamed? Are you trying to point the finger? Like, I see so much fear in this, right? It's like, oh no, I should feel so much shame because I'm late, but I don't care.
Mhm.
You know why? Because I looked at it when I want to look at it, and I have a comment on it, and it's not tied to time. It doesn't matter. It'll stand the test of time.
Yeah.
And now I'm going a little bit on a high horse.
No, no, but that is it. I mean, I think when you have a troll of any kind, they are trying to shame you. And it depends on the network and where you're at. But talking about this is really important to overcoming our fears and taking a
Hmm.
stand and learning how to do that, especially for brands. So whether you are your brand or you have a company, a small business that is the brand, what if you post something and you get negative comments? What do you do?
Hmm.
Because if you are properly taking a stand, as we are hoping that you do, because we need your voice right now, you're going to get negative comments. You will. And and just I keep giggling because we're talking about Cracker Barrel. It's so funny. But let's say that, let's look at Trevor at My Cluck Hut, our first episode, if you want to go listen to that. The comments are egregious, violent. I mean, all just
That is true. That
so
is true. But
negative.
it was Instagram, right? So that's one of the things I was surprised by.
Oh, LinkedIn's becoming
But
LinkedIn. You
it's like,
you
I
can
thought
get
this was a
threatening.
professional network. You can see
Yeah.
people's history on there. These people that are acting like
Hmm.
12-year
Hmm.
olds, like a bunch of bullies, that's
Hmm.
all recorded. And
Oh, I know.
it's all tied back to your employer. I mean, it's all right there. Like
Yeah.
I just seemed such an odd decision to make.
It is. It is. And I think it's a testament to how people are ill equipped to using social. So if I get a troll on LinkedIn, I'm like, this is a person who doesn't know how to use LinkedIn. Like
Well, they're
it's not
young,
the
maybe. Maybe
space.
it's something I always figured everyone on there was like, maybe it's just me perceiving myself as younger, but I was always like, oh no, that's for executives and people that are like, that's how I always perceived it. And now there's all these people on there just jamming away, like it's, I don't know, like it's Twitter or something. It's weird.
I think that it's actually the older folks who don't know quite how to use LinkedIn. What I notice anyway,
It's
when
true,
I,
actually. If I looked at
yeah.
some of the people that like some of the more MAGA type stuff, so I got
Mhm.
the get your head out of Obama's behind comment, I
What?
think. Yeah, that was one of them. But then also the more ones where they try to like cut you more. But that was just basically because it's pushing back.
And
Um,
I want to say though, I want to point out I've had posts with this many impressions and no negative comments really.
mhm.
Guys, it's not you can gain this many impressions without the negative trolls. The Cracker Barrel thing was apparently a really hot issue um, that
It
Chris
made
struck
very many
into.
people upset.
Yeah, which is very surprising. Now, if you had posted something more personal and deep to your heart and reflecting your values, your reaction likely would have been a bit different to the trolls. It takes a minute to overcome that. I'll give you an example so for myself, I sit here and say, I'm so tough with the trolls, and I've been trolled for 20 years and I'm over it. Well, this weekend, um, I posted, now, by the time you're hearing this, this has been a minute, but I posted the podcast or episode of Jay Carr, the psychotherapist.
Hmm.
The title of the podcast is How to Survive MAGA. And I posted it to share because of the shooting at my school district's high school in Evergreen, Colorado. And I posted it to share because I'm feeling like an absolute hot mess right now. And I said that I'm like, I am a mess about this. I didn't expect to feel like such a mess, never expected this to happen. Here's an episode that's basically a free therapy session where we have a guy helping Jay Carr helping us all understand how to process this.
Mm-hmm.
So I posted that, and the first comment I got was from a parent at the high school saying, "This is," he said, "grotesque. This is a grotesque and opportunistic post." And and he's like, as a parent of a high school student, of course his opinion's valid. He's a parent of a high school student, but I looked into his profile and it's clear that he's pro MAGA, and he saw the MAGA headline of the podcast and is missing the point and my intent. So that one got
Wow,
to
that's
me.
layered though. I mean, that is
Oh,
something
it
that's
is.
very difficult to navigate regardless. I don't see any way.
Right.
Just there's
So
so much like just fear and just panic and just going on
all
right
the
now in
things.
general around this, it's like people are
Yeah.
just kind of just lashing out.
Yeah. And I felt, okay, my first instinct was, oh my gosh, I've offended a parent of a high school. So my son's in the middle school, you guys. So he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like, he was on lockdown. He was
Well,
traumatized in a
basically,
different
that
way.
parent was saying, "Look, me higher status here in the suffering Olympics,
Yes.
so I have a higher standing, and now I get to shoot down at this person."
Yes. And so I was like, I should delete this post. And then and that's my monkey brain, right? And then
Mm.
I said, what would I tell a student? What would I tell someone who I'm coaching? And that was not the answer. And I stood by what I know to be true, that this is a gift. This podcast episode is a gift. A therapy session costs like $250. This is a gift. And my rational brain started to help myself. And what I did, and keep it, this is a Saturday morning, which usually I honestly didn't expect that post to have any negative reaction at all, really, at all.
Yeah.
And I
Sorry you went through
responded
that
back
though.
to
That
him.
sucks though, because you tried to do something nice, right? I came
Yeah.
from a good place, and
Oh,
also the lack of discernment and just the immediacy and all of that is it's just so unfortunate. I feel like it's all the worst things in humanity are just being like thrown together at that point.
and it's online, and we don't do this to each other in
Right.
person,
Well,
for
unless
the
you're on the
most part.
road, but you
Right.
know,
And so I wrote a post back to him. I responded and I said, "Listen, I appreciate where you're coming from, and all the love to you and your family and all of us. However, I am going to keep this up in spite of the threatening tone of your post, because it felt threatening." And I explained like, "Hey, this episode was published a month ahead of time. We don't get paid for our podcast." I didn't even say that part. That's just implied. But hey, man, the shooter was a white supremacist. Like, that is in line with the far right MAGA folks. So this is relevant, and this is here for people who need it.
I mean,
And
look,
then, yeah,
I mean, it's a valid conversation to have in general. I think we
yeah,
had this conversation at one point too, and is doing something like we're doing ambulance chasing.
right. Is it opportunistic when you
Right.
post about your values and politics? So that was a big question.
No, no, no. That's not how I framed it. Which is like I'm taking a tragedy
Yeah.
and I'm exploiting it.
Right. Right.
That's the most
Right.
unkind way to say it, but it's very clear. And that's something I struggle with too. And it is something like I feel
Right.
like this is a resource and this is something for people. And like you said, you know, we're not making any money with this.
Well, and it,
Yet.
the state of our country right now is a tragedy. But let's come back to that. Let me tell you what happened with the comments. So I
Yeah.
go through my Saturday. I shut down LinkedIn. I'm like, okay, I've said my piece. I know that this is important to keep up. I know that people need this. I'm going to stand my ground. This is why it's hard. And I didn't open my phone again. And then I mentioned it to my husband. Of course, it's in the back of my mind all
Right.
day.
It didn't go away.
And my husband checks it and he's like, whoa, the comment's gone. So the guy deleted his comment, and another parent from the high school had commented, and she said, "As another parent from the high school whose student was shot at, this is very important. Thank you for sharing it."
Oh,
So it was like a huge wash of just, because I would never want to inadvertently hurt someone or do anything that would make someone feel uncomfortable in any kind of a situation like this. And also, with that said, you know, we all have to be incredibly gracious toward one another, because
Yeah.
when things like in our community Facebook groups right now, there are all kinds of posts going on all kinds of topics, and everybody needs to be gracious.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nobody who's like, hey, I'm going to sell you this. Nobody would ever do that. And if somebody did, you would know. Now, let's back up into that opportunistic stuff, guys. So if you this you will, when you take a values stand during a news moment from a LinkedIn or from a business page, you will always have at least one jerk who calls you opportunistic. And that is something that we need to develop thick skin for, because we need to talk about this stuff.
Hmm.
And if like the alternative is none of us talk about it because we're scared of X, Y, and Z, we're going to lose everything that we love.
This goes to also Rand. We talked to just the other episode, where it's the fear of not stepping on anybody's toes, or not, like just, we are so consumed on the left of being conscious and being considerate of others in these things, that it there's no
Right. We don't
real
want to offend.
forward movement coming out of it. So you
Yeah.
could argue that this is one of those examples, right, where it's like, look, here's someone who's trying to further the right idea, but I guess the person also had a different agenda underlying
Well,
it.
I think this poor person, I mean, I feel for him. Like tensions are hot right now. We are all like, honestly, guys, it is Monday. The shooting happened like 5 days ago. I am still in a state of a bit of shock. Like, this community is so peaceful and so beautiful, and it's just not a thing you would ever expect. It's like we cannot hide from any of this. Anyway, he was in shock. I'm in. We're all just trying to sort it out, and
Mm.
resources are being offered, mental health resources. There are county officials like outpouring of mental health services for high school students and their parents and teachers. Anyway, I have nothing but love for him, and I think we all just need to hug it out right now. It's like,
Yeah, maybe just take a second and be less reactive, in these
right,
types of situations, where it's like,
right.
because it was a very unkind thing to assume, even like, oh yeah, no, this person is in it.
Oh
It's
yeah,
it's very hurtful thing to say.
it was a very hurtful thing to say for
So
sure.
yeah.
So we as businesses too. So when you're thinking about, again, do we say something? Do we not say something? We can't afford to not say something out of fear of negative comments. And we have, however, some businesses I have as clients, if they post even just a post about their business and get negative comments, founders can panic and say, I don't want any negative comments, turn off all the comments. But we can't do that. So what we learned from Trevor at My Cluck Hut was he takes these negative comments and turns them into posts and turns them into rallying cries. And he
Hmm.
says, look at what they are saying to me and my family. Look at what these people are saying. And
Hmm.
and that in turn proves his point and galvanizes his community, which, by the way, is a community for where everyone is welcome and everyone should feel safe. The My Cluck Hut brand.
Hmm.
So, this is a continuing conversation. But so, Chris, back to you and your posting.
Yeah.
And now we're out of the land of the trolls. So, how do you feel about posting again and future posts? Like, did they get you? Did the
No.
LinkedIn dopamine uh,
Oh,
hit, like, get you wanting to post more? Did you,
that's interesting.
yeah, how are you
Um,
feeling about it?
well, the dopamine, I feel like there was mainly, it wasn't positive experience for me. It was not. I'm saying
Mm,
so. And the dopamine, I really felt more like adrenaline in a sense. It was felt more like kind of, but it did give me that glimmer of hope, which was interesting.
what's the hope?
So the idea that I could actually do that, like this could, like the idea of
Mm-hmm.
what I stand for. That's why I immediately wrote down that manifesto. I was actually on Friday, I was pretty wired on like, okay, wow, this, I could do this, especially when I was going in the comments, people were being mean. And I was like,
Mm.
how can I, what is the kindest interpretation of what they're saying, and how can we try and not devolve down, and with a little bit of tongue in cheek, of course, right? And a little bit of,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It gave me that feeling that of I hope it kind of goes back to that original visioning experience that we had in our cohort class, where it was like figuring out like, what is it that I want in the future? What
Mhm.
is it that we like? What do you want as an individual in the current job market, right? And it's kind of interesting that I do think that's like I got a little glimmer of what that might be. So that it was hopeful. I definitely want to post again, and definitely want to do more vulnerable stuff. I'm
Mhm.
actually working on something right now that's a visualization of white privilege,
Ooh.
that I just scanned,
Now we're talking.
that you can see here, which is
What? Oh
quite
my
an
gosh. Okay,
interesting.
I have to tell you what we're looking at. We're
All right, let
looking
me
at
zoom in a
did
little bit
you
more.
did you hand draw this?
Yeah, yeah, this is the sixth or so iteration. I'm just trying
Okay,
to get it right. So I don't know
so
if it
Chris
reads to you.
Chris has it reads for me. There's an image of a building, and at the bottom of the building it's like yucky, and there's like it looks old and uncared for, and there are people down there, but they're all dark and like in the shadows. It looks like I don't have my glasses on. And then on the top there are clouds, and there's like a utopia with the sun shining and the light. And actually the people are, you just have little dark people everywhere, but so it's not shadows, but there's people dancing on the top of a building versus like kind of climbing up some stairs on the bottom. But that's a really profound image.
Thanks. Yeah.
Amazing. I love
Yeah.
it. Yes. So, this is the white privilege is something that's really, really, really hard for people to understand.
So
And when you
yeah,
show them a picture of it, like a
so the idea
storybook,
really behind it, and as I'm still kind of working on, is that it really
yeah,
starts at the top, and as
yeah,
you scroll down. So the idea being, you have this big monolith in the center,
hmm,
representing the privileged folks, with which I am right there with everyone, and then these little buildings popping up out of the clouds.
hmm,
Clouds representing awareness in a sense, or lack thereof. So the idea is that as you go past the clouds and see what happened in the past, because that y-axis is basically a time scale. So it shows all of the different exploitations and atrocities and power moves and all that stuff that us white folks have been doing forever, and the
right.
reason why we're so the idea of when you're on the top above the clouds, and you're like, hey, what's that person doing there? That person's in my sun. Wait, like, it's the idea of like, oh, there's an attack on Christmas. That's kind of where that idea came from. So it's like,
Mm.
wait a second, no, this is our space, right? You're infringing on it without any awareness of like what's going on in the
And the
past.
building represents the systems in place and the stairs that people would
Right.
have to climb up. And that's the whole point. All y'all, if you missed it,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
It's
you,
hard concept for me to explain to some people that
yeah,
are, that are just have a hard time. I mean, I can't say I understand it. Like, part of that's the whole point, right? It's like fish that don't really know what water is, right? For us white people.
right. And if you're not, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I'm going to say, if you're not awake to it, which is where the word woke comes
Yeah.
from. It comes from you becoming awake to it,
Well,
seeing
there's something
something
that's you see that has been there. It's there to see. It's just not visible
that
to
you
you
can't see it because you don't live.
because
We do
you're not looking.
the clouds that you have in the illustration, they can't see below them. You
Right.
can't, we are so good at compartmentalizing even where we shop and where we eat and where we visit and where we vacation, where we don't see the poverty in our wake, or we think that somebody
Hmm.
born in a zip code with a school that has such little horrible pitiful amounts of funding is actually going to have an equal chance as a kid born in a zip code in which they've got the highest funded school in the state. I mean, come on. Of
Hmm.
course that kid is going to be up against way more. So
Well, now these
that
people have a voice for the first time. They're actually visible to the white people, and it and it's like, whoa, whoa, and it's
right.
like suddenly they're there, and it's like they came out of nowhere, and what's going on, and why is it different? I don't like this. I have to give up stuff. What's up with that?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, no, no. You go look below the clouds, and then maybe you'll figure it out.
So this post, you're going to share this illustration
Yeah,
on your
I'm still
LinkedIn?
working on it, because like one of the things that I think is not reading quite correctly, but again, I should probably just post it. Here's me again on version 6, but I added some icons. So I think I'm gonna post it like tomorrow or something. So it'll probably be posted by the time this podcast airs.
I can't wait to see it. And we always leave our links to our LinkedIn accounts in the show description. So
Mhm.
we will leave you all with that. And you can go check out Chris's post and see how it goes. And
We'll see, man. Maybe who
yeah,
knows? Who knows? And again,
yeah. Um, Also, we have been so grateful to people leaving positive reviews on the podcast. Chris, have
yes,
you
thank
read any
you.
of them?
I have actually not.
Okay,
I
let me
should.
read
You want to
you
read some?
one.
Yeah, read me some. That's a nice way to end the day.
Yeah, let's end the show with a really nice, beautiful review that somebody left for us. Citizen Rebel is a much needed breath of fresh air amidst all the negativity and noise that pollutes our minds daily. Chris and Alaina combine their mutual integrity, distinct individual expertise, and curiosity to produce what has become one of my favorite podcasts.
Oh, yay. Nice.
Wow.
All right, everybody, just
Thank
do more
you.
of that, please. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. We'll say that.
Yeah, like we see you listening. We're at 1,000 downloads now, by the way,
Nice.
and it
Yeah,
just keeps going up and up. I really hope that this was a useful conversation. I don't know. We're
I
all
hope
in this
so.
together. I hope so too. We're all exploring this together, this social stuff, and people are in midlife who have the expertise that we all have. I'm looking at you, 40 somethings. Like
Yeah, it's so
we may,
interesting. It is a unique thing where there's these 40 something people that
yeah.
know stuff and haven't really told anybody yet.
Exactly. We know this stuff, but we haven't properly shared it. We're scared to use social. We're in certain ways for good reason because it's an unknown. We're here
Right,
to
and they've
help you
got
make it a
trolls on
known.
there putting pictures of Samuel L. Jackson holding a pew pew to people's heads.
Yeah. So you just need to brush those trolls off and we need you. So okay, thanks for listening,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Yeah, until next time, subscribe, follow, share it with your friends. You know the drill. Thanks for listening to Citizen Rebel. If you like this episode, subscribe to the show and share it with a friend.
To connect with us and find more content like this, visit goodisnow.com.